Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and berries, it's me, Bradley G, here in the World Nerf Center headquarters of Synergy Cafe and my undisclosed location in the basement of my home. Yes, I'm self employed, home based, and I've got a friend that I met years ago, and I get to talk with her and learn what she does, even though I've known her for a long time. She keeps changing. No, I keep changing. No, when you get into more in-depth conversations, you learn a lot from people when you can have that one-on-one focused conversation rather than at a social event or a business event. You never really get into the depth. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go into the green room and get a hold of her. Her name is Paulie, and this is what it all kind of looks like right here. She's going to teach us how to live into your best life. And some people call her an alchemist. And here I thought I was the alchemist. Let's go get her. Where's Paulie?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fun?
Good. Of course.
Wonderful.
Good to see you again.
Yes, it happens all the time, doesn't it? Now, you're local in the Twin Cities here, so people know if they are listening from the Twin Cities, because I do a lot of stuff local, that they could actually connect with you live in person instead of doing this Zoomy thing.
Coffee shops. I do coffee shops.
How long have you been living in the Twin Cities, Paulie?
1988.
Okay, that's a long time.
Long time.
It's not the 20s, so it must be something earlier.
Yeah, no, I had actually was going to college in St. Cloud and wound up in a really bad car accident in Rogers that stopped my life the way I knew it. I wound up in 6 months of rehab.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what brought me to the cities. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, and because we're going to be talking about how you like shift mindsets and stuff. But that's one thing right there. You can look at that as, oh my God, that's terrible. Or you can look at it as a blessing that there was just a roadblock, a bump in the road that I had to literally go through to get here.
Indeed. Right? Well, ironically, I was actually going to school for a focus on advertising and marketing.
Oh, really? I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, I'd gone to a vocational school back in the early 80s for business. And then I wanted to further my education. And then I wound up having that accident before I finished before graduating. And I wound up actually working at a bank for the world's first telebanking service. And so I was a telebanker. So if I hadn't had that accident, I wouldn't have wound up in the cities and I wouldn't have had that really cool opportunity. I'm kind of like, I'm a female Forrest Gump. So I've gotten a lot of I've literally fallen into some amazing opportunities just because I've been at the right place at the right time, not because they were planned, but just go with the flow, right? Just pay attention and
eat a lot of boxes of chocolates.
Yes.
Well, on that, some people think, okay, the right place, the right time. I think always is the right place and the right time if you can tune in your receptor to pick up on what that next step should be. Because I've gone astray because I'm just not paying attention to how spirit is to move me. And I just do what I think is the thing to do. Whereas if I would have just followed my path, even though it was a miserable one, it would have
taken. But it's paying attention to those signs, and it's the breadcrumbs, following the breadcrumbs, and then yeah. And I also tell people, just because you're going in a direction doesn't mean you have to always be going in that direction. It's okay to pivot. Mm-hmm. If things are, you might be intended to go into a certain direction to give you certain experiences that will lead you in another direction.
Yeah, you're always constantly adjusting the sails. I put your LinkedIn profile here in case people want to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
And they can just see your name right there in the corner, Paulie Skaja. And that's how they can find you in case they're looking. So that is an interesting way of looking at it, because if you look and put your goal out there in the distance, kind of like shooting for the moon, there's certain trajectory you got to kind of adjust the way as you're going, because you're off track probably 99% of the time. You got to change your, adjust the sails to get to where you're going. But as long as you know where you're going, you can eventually get there. Like if you're going out to Los Angeles, California, you can stop in Denver and have a cup of coffee. Maybe zoom over to Vegas and pull a slot machine. You eventually can get to California because you know where you're going.
That's right. That's right. Well, and it's one of the examples that I use with, I have a corporate client right now, and I have people who are saying, we're going to do this. And it's like, well, that's kind of like saying you're going to go west. And literally, I could go west and land in Montevideo, right? Which is 2 hours. Or I could go to California, which is west. Or I could go to Seattle, which is west. Right. So having clarity around where you want to land, where you think you want to land, and then, like you said, adjusting and pivoting. And it's okay to stop for different attractions along the way.
Well, that's those SMART goals, specific and measurable. You got to know where it is, and you got to measure it out and get to the right. It's got to be realistic. You can't go, I'm going to go out to California at 4:00 today. It ain't going to work. So you got to kind of get it within reason. And sometimes it helps to work with a coach like yourself to kind of bring somebody down to reality and say, it's kind of like unrealistic, don't you think? Or the other side of it, they might be going, oh, I can't do that. You go, why not? The
exactly.
Part.
Exactly. Well, and I like to, so I believe if you can dream it, you can do it. My dad always taught me that if you really want something, you can figure out a way to make it happen. And people will say, well, I really want blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but do you want that for you? And if you really want it, you actually have to take action to make it happen. It's not about just dreaming it, sitting on the couch and hoping it comes to you, but it's taking that action. And if you really want something, are you willing to do what it takes to get it?
Well, that's the thing that was in that book, The Secret, where everybody thought if they just visualize and do vision boards and chant and, burn incense, that they're going to all of a sudden have their retreat in Cancun.
Right. Exactly. And that's that gap that when that book first came out, I would tell people, but that's not reality. That's helping you figure out what you'd like. I think that book is really great for that. The missing piece though is taking the action and also figuring out what is the action you need to take.
Yeah.
Because it's the formula that I use is you figure out where you're at, you figure out where you want to get to, and then you figure out what are the steps. And that's part of what I help people with is what are the steps to achieve that goal, right?
Yes.
But most of us don't want to be honest with where we really are. And a lot of people want to go through life blaming circumstances or other people or whatever. Yeah. And so I help people kind of look at things from a different lens so that they can get greater clarity on what really needs to take place and get really clear on do they really want what they are saying or thinking they want, and looking at the options that they have instead.
Right. Sort of be careful what you ask for because you will get it.
Indeed.
Yes. You really want that. Yeah. I use a process I call GOSPA, which is an acronym for goal, objective, strategy, plan, and action.
Nice.
You got to define what that specific goal is, and it's got to be measurable and SMART and all that kind of thing. Then you can figure out the strategy and how to get there. Are you an advocate of hard work?
I don't. It depends.
Well, that was a crap question.
and so it depends because I absolutely love what I do. So I don't look at it as hard work.
Right.
And I put in a lot of hours because I love it, but it's because it's fun for me. But someone might look at my life and say, holy cow, you work so hard. And I don't really. I just do what I love and what I'm passionate about. Now, gardening is considered hard work to me sometimes because I don't do the heat well and things like that. And so, but I love the outcome. And so it depends.
Well, it makes sense because there's many ways to do it, whatever it is you're doing. So sometimes the work isn't necessarily work. It's like using a lever and you
Yep.
get the leverage behind it. Or I use the what I call the 4 Ds: do, delay, delegate, and delete. So
Hmm.
if some you don't like, you just like the fruit, and you delegate tilling that soil up and planting all that stuff and pulling all the weeds, and then you go out and harvest.
The landscapers I hired last month were my delegating.
Perfect. See?
Exactly.
So you get that. Some people look at, oh, I don't want to pay them to do that. It's so much cheaper if I do it. But do you value your time? Right?
Right.
Yeah. So here's the graphic again with your book. Your book, it's living into your best life. Now, with that, the goal is your best life, getting real clear onto it. What do you mean by living into it?
So live into your best life is about every day we get to make a choice to move towards that happiness, that fulfillment, that whatever our desire is, that would be the best life. However, I tell people that, when you think about, I want best practices, it makes it seem like there's nothing better. I want my best life. Well, but what if there's something that you could discover that's even better? And yet, if you land at the best, you're maybe not going to see the possibilities. So that's why it's called live into your best life, because we're continuously looking at how can we improve? What would we change? If we could have the outcomes that we want, what would that look like? And how might I get there? So the book is literally it was inspired by my grandchildren. My daughter would send me pictures all the time saying they are living their best life. And it was continuously, they are living their best life. And I got to thinking about this, and that's where the inspiration came from. And a lot of the quotes in there are quotes or ideas that came from like my dad, or I got a couple in there from Walt Disney, but a lot of it is from the students that I teach. So in the evening, I also am a trainer,
Mhm.
and I have some brilliant people in my classes, and I'm like, ooh, I think I'm going to put that in a book. And so, anyways, they have helped contribute to the concepts and some of the ideas. And it's literally 52 weeks of micro wins, because a lot of people don't. We tend to focus on what goes wrong, and there might be one thing that went wrong that makes people feel like, oh, my day was ruined. But on the flip side, what are all the things that went right? What are all those micro wins? What are those things that you did to help yourself create a better life? And so the book focuses on incremental 1%ish improvements week over week. And we look at it daily. What did I do that made a difference for myself and others? What did I do that made my life a little bit better and move towards the direction I'd like to go? That's what the book's about.
Is that one of your chapters, 52 micro wins?
No, the book is called
It's called that?
52 weeks of micro wins to transform your life.
I love it because that seems so easy. It's 52 is not a big number. And when you scale it down to a week, I can do that for a week, and then next week I'll do it again. That's cool. And in micro makes it seem really easy.
Yeah,
It really
just
is. I think
baby wins.
to me, with my magic background, it's about perception. When a magician puts the coin in his hand and he opens his hand and it disappeared,
Hmm.
it didn't really disappear. And he didn't really throw it into his hand, but that's what it looked like. So if you
Right.
shift your perspective from the spectator looking at the guy put the coin in his hand and the magician knowing that he didn't, it's the same thing, but it looks two different perspectives. And I run into that, like you wake up in the morning, you stub your toe on the post of the bed and the bed leg, and you hurt your toe. So what? It hurts for 10 minutes, right? Don't let that ruin your whole week.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Well, and think about it. When we get into a meeting with someone and people will focus on that one little niggly thing that wasn't perfect instead of that other perspective. And then if you pull that out to that greater perspective, every problem has a solution. We just get to think about what could that be, and we can't solve a problem with the same mindset that it was created with.
Totally.
And
It's like asking a question in Japanese and expecting it to come back in English. And I guess
Indeed.
that could happen, but I hope the person is bilingual.
Yeah, exactly.
I notice that a lot. It pops up in my head when I'm having conversations. That's why I have a hard time being a coach, only because of this thing that I've got. Because I am a good, I guess, consultant and help people navigate and stuff. But when I'm talking about, here's an idea for you, and they go, "Oh my God, that's so hard. What if we do? What if this happens? What if that happens?" It's like, man, why don't you just go get a job? You can't do this.
Dude, you got to put your map in your back pocket, right?
I give up on them too early.
Hold the possibility.
Tell us about some of these events. Are these in-person events or the online events?
They're online, so I'll be sending Zoom links out. So the first one is going to happen tomorrow on the 5th of September, and it's going to focus on people who are looking for a job, right? So they've just learned that they're going to be losing their job, or a number of people are realizing the companies are going to be downsizing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know if they're going to lose their job or not. And so anyone who's wanting to be proactive, or who has recently lost a job, or you're looking, I'm going to have a session starts at 3:30 Central Time tomorrow, and we'll go for whatever period of time, depending on what people want to talk about. I'm going to be recording it to offer at future times in a variety of ways. So that, it'll be available for folks, but just not immediately, but it'll be live via Zoom. So if anyone's interested, direct message me, and I'm going to put another post out on LinkedIn and Facebook today so people can reach out. But then also on the 8th, on Sunday, my book, Live Into Your Best Life, is coming out. And so I'll have a link to that available for anyone who's interested in picking that book up. It's a fun way to finish out 2024 and set yourself up for success, because think about it, we've got the final quarter. We're moving towards the final quarter of the year. And if you start taking action now, 2025 will be even better. So if nothing changes, nothing changes. So why not start now? So the book will release on September 8th. And then on the 10th, September 10th, starting at 4 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to be holding another session to help people who are looking for jobs. And they're free. Just direct message me and I can send you the link. And just really wanting to understand, what are people looking for help with? The top topics lately have been, I can't get interviews. I'm not being seen. People don't think I have enough experience. People think I have too much experience. And so we're going to talk through, how do you position yourself to get that visibility and open those doors? And how do you, just like we've been talking about, how do you focus in on what you really want? So a book I released last October is Next Stop, Your Dream Job. And so I'm going to be using the concepts from that book as I teach the class and help people get that clarity and figure out how to open those doors so that they can get the action and outcomes they're looking for.
You know Michael Sonnenberg?
No.
I'm going to have to introduce you.
Okay.
He's got a meetup thing he calls the White Box Club. And that's for the people that got that white box and they're supposed to put all their personal belongings in it, and then the security walks them out to the parking lot.
Yep.
Looking for that job. So is your focus specifically for people that want the job, the employer type of situation?
Not necessarily. They're looking for their next opportunity.
So that it might be someone that says, you know what, I think I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've been in situations where, being a self-employed person, there's been times when I'm going, I should just go get a job. And I started thinking, okay, if I redo my resume, that's just like redoing my brochure. Right. Redo my resume, now I go hit the road and start handing out resumes. Why don't I hand out brochures? I'd be doing the same thing looking for a job as I would for looking for gigs. So I always get back on my track of my self-employment because I can't. I did have jobs out of high school. I just had a hard time with them myself. But some people, that's what they're wired for. I just want to punch that clock and serve and get it done and go home.
Yep.
I get that. Well, that's cool that you can help people like that, because I think a lot of people, when they lose that job, they go into a panic mode and think, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm overqualified. I'll just have to work at Walmart. I'll just go get a barista job. They get defeated.
Well, and sometimes when people are looking, when they've lost their job, sometimes that energetic, what's radiating from them is that defeat, right? That's that, well, no one wants that around, and they don't realize that they're projecting that. So sometimes getting a job as a transition helps to shift that energy and helps to bring things back into alignment. Yeah, I really don't want to do this. Or maybe you do. Maybe having that part-time job gives you a little bit of income so that you can create the future you want and be able to become self-employed and entrepreneur.
Well, that's what I've talked with people before about. They're thinking about, they want to start a coffee shop or create a coffee cart. Why not in the interim, you go work for Starbucks and get some training, get some money, and build it on the side. And then instead of just unplugging and doing it, why not kind of bridge the gap kind of thing?
Indeed.
Easier.
Exactly. That's right.
We've gone for 21 minutes now. Is there anything else you want to share before I let you go into the green room? How were the hors d'oeuvres, by the way, the digital hors d'oeuvres we had, the little
Wonderful. And I love that there's no calories. That's perfect.
So when you get that graphic up there of your little book, in case people want to grab that, is that available on Amazon, of course?
Yeah. So yes, it'll be available on Amazon. It's available now. I'm really hoping that people will order it on the 8th so that I can go for bestseller status, because I'd really love to get this book there. And then just a reminder, so tomorrow, 3:30 Central Time, I'm going to be hosting an event for people interested in how do I get this next job? Like, how do I take that next step? So that's tomorrow on the 8th, on Sunday. If you're interested in ordering the book, I'll have the links available. So please help me reach that bestseller status. And then on the 10th is another class to help people with the job seeking, the skills and what to do next and things. So yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'm going to pop you into the green room, and then if you want to stick around, I'll have some chat with you. I got some ideas for moving your book.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. There you have it. That was my friend Paulie. I met her at a networking thing with my friend Chris that she's with now. Fascinating. So here's how you get that book right there. And the way you connect with Paulie, again, is her LinkedIn profiles right here. Maybe she's got a website and I'm not even aware of it. So I have to reconnect and put some of that stuff out and propagate the stuff out. So that's my story, Morning Glory. I'm going to sign this off. Enjoy the rest of your day. I want you to be good. I want you to be nice. Did I say be nice? Yes, be nice.